This is VSiN PrimeTime. Live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Back here on VSiN PrimeTime. I'm Scott Seidenberg, right here on the Sports Betting Network. Anthony Edwards back from the locker room. He is back here in the second half as the Timberwolves lead the Warriors 56-42. And remember, we are going to look at the Warriors in the fourth quarter of this game. So we still have 10:44 to go in the third quarter, but we are looking at the fourth quarter for the Warriors. Meanwhile, no score between the Golden Knights and the Oilers. 13 minutes left or so in the first period. We need some goals to cash that first period to go over. The Phillies have just taken the lead over the Rays in the 10th inning, and we are still tied in the 10th inning between the Braves and the Reds in the bottom of the 10th right now. Joining us on the Progressive Guest Line as we talk a little bit more about Major League Baseball and betting some of these angles, Chris Gimenez, former catcher, SiriusXM, MLB Radio, MLB TV as well. Chris, thanks so much for joining us here on VSiN. And I got an interesting text message. My buddy Josh Towers, former Blue Jays pitcher, texted me when the Blue Jays had the bases loaded earlier in this game. It's in the second inning right now in Anaheim. He knows I bet the Blue Jays tonight. And the Jays loaded the bases with nobody out in the top of the first inning, and they did not score. They went strikeout, 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 okay? And he said, live bet the Angels to score in the bottom of the first. Now, I'm doing the show here, so I can't really get on top of that live bet, but I looked down at my computer screen, and the Angels scored 2 runs, a 2-run home run in the bottom of the first inning. What is it about those in-game situations, from your perspective, where you see a team maybe fail to score in a situation that they should, or the other team that gets out of a jam? Does that momentum truly carry over into the next half inning?
You got to love those momentum swings, don't you? My goodness. It seems like it always happens as well, which is even crazier to think. I do think, though, that momentum is a big thing. You know, I mean, we all know that in sports in general, but in baseball, momentum isn't just the last 3 innings. You know, when it seems like it's the highest pressure situations, could be very well the first inning, like you just saw in that Angels-Toronto game. I'm still blown away that the Blue Jays were not able to score. That's been a big bugaboo for them this year, is hitting with runners in scoring position. And, you know, when you got a guy like Seabass on the mound, Chris Bassett, I love him. To me, this guy is like the true testament of a pitcher. I mean, he's got 15 different pitches for that matter, but unfortunately was able to go out there and give up a couple of runs and cost you a little bit more money, probably because you didn't bet it.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm still chasing the game, but it's still early, top of the second inning. I guess I like the fact that they're turning over the lineup. You know, they got 7 guys up there in the top of the first, so we'll get to the top a little bit more frequently here, but let's see if we can make that bet come home. Earlier today, the Pirates making news as they fire manager Derek Shelton after the team is on a 7-game losing streak. The season has not gone the way that they had hoped it would gone with the young talent that they have. Team fires the manager. I know in football we do this all the time. We talk about that dead cat bounce, that fired coach boost in the next game. Do we want to be backing the Pittsburgh Pirates here moving forward? Maybe get a little bit of spark here after the firing?
I mean, I think it's definitely worth a shot. This is something that within the clubhouse obviously vibrates very heavily, right? I think Derek Shelton was loved there in Pittsburgh by a lot of those guys. And let's be honest, I don't think it was his fault. You know, I know I've seen a lot of stuff on social media today throughout the day since the news broke that, you know, he was the only one let go. Ben Cherington still has a job there. And I don't know Ben very well at all, but I do know Derek Shelton very well. And I know this one has to hurt a little bit because, again, he does have the backing of that clubhouse. But as we oftentimes see these types of things happen, you probably will see a little bit of an energized boost, a new voice. You know, Mr. Kelly's taken over from the bench coach role, guy I played a lot against in my career. I think he's going to have these guys playing some inspired baseball here, at least at the onset. But again, I don't really understand what Pittsburgh fans, the ownership group, like what they were expecting when the biggest free agent contract you've ever given was 3 years and $36 million, and that was in 2014. I really don't expect to win a lot of baseball games, and I think for what Derek Shelton had, I think he did a hell of a job, and I think he got the raw end of the deal ultimately at the end of it.
One of the teams, Chris, that I was high on coming into the season, and I actually placed a wager on them to make the postseason, is the Boston Red Sox. Now, Tristan Casas goes out with the injury. I'd like to hear that. It makes me feel better about my bet. Tristan Casas goes out with the injury, and the report that I read earlier today was that Red Sox management approached Rafael Devers like they did in this offseason and said, hey, would you be interested in playing first base? And Devers, much like he said before the season started, I'm not moving. Now, he's a DH now because Bregman's the third baseman, but, I just don't understand this. So he has no interest in playing first base.
Right.
Not going to be a team-first guy here. Is this troublesome? Is this something to worry about for the Red Sox?
So it seems like he can't really stay out of the limelight there in Boston for all of the wrong reasons. Obviously what you just mentioned, then what happened in spring training when they additionally signed Alex Bregman, moving him off the third base position. It was pretty evident that he wasn't too happy about it. But I've actually seen multiple conflicting reports. I don't know if this was a lost in translation issue, but I saw a direct quote from him in a video basically stating that they came to him asking him to play first base. He didn't think he could immediately go out there and do it. He needed some time to get used to the position. This to me sounds a little bit more like the answer we probably should have heard. And I'm wondering, truthfully, like what is going on in Boston inside that clubhouse with the clubhouse relations or the media relations side of things. This is now the second time that some weird things have been said. And to me, if it looks like a rat and it smells like a rat, it might as well just be a rat. And I'm a little concerned about this team, truthfully. They haven't played overly inspiring baseball. They've been on some short little runs here. But if your star player who's there for the next 11 years is already causing this many issues this early on into that tenure, I think you're looking at a potential worrisome, not only year this year, but his entire time there in Boston. We could be looking at a potential trade of him trying to ask for a trade to get the heck out of there if things aren't going to his liking. And boy, wouldn't that be something if the Boston Red Sox offered up Rafi Devers for, the highest bidder to maybe just be a DH or maybe even be a third baseman.
It's funny. One of my bold predictions before the season started was, and this was, again, before the season started, so the Blue Jays had not signed Vladdy to that contract yet. But I said the Red Sox were going to trade Rafael Devers to Toronto for Vladdy Jr., and everyone was going to be happy because the Red Sox would sign Vladdy to an extension. The Blue Jays get a player in Devers that's under control for the next 10 years or so to play third base, and the Red Sox solve all their problems with Bregman at first and with Bregman at third and Vladdy playing first base. But that didn't happen. But maybe it could still happen.
I wish it would have, because that would have been awesome.
Well,
that alternate reality that you're living in would have been really cool, because the Boston Red Sox would be instant clear-cut favorites in the American League if they were to acquire, Vladdy, and obviously even giving up Rafi Devers. And we saw the start that he got off to. There was a lot going on upstairs there, and I get it. It's difficult to, go from preparing yourself mentally and physically to play a position as many possible times as you can in a 162 game season, to being told all of a sudden during spring training that, hey, you're probably just going to DH. Now, it's easy to say, okay, just go be Big Papi, but that's like a 1 in a million. It's really difficult to sit there mentally, not physically. It's a lot easier physically because you're just hanging out and you're getting ready to hit. You have time to hit, in the batting cage underneath. But the mental side of things is what really screws you up. And it's, if you get off to a rough start like we saw Devers did, he's sitting there thinking about it the entire time. Maybe he goes in and he overswings, and now you start to spiral backwards the wrong direction. And thankfully, I think he's gotten himself out of that. But boy, he's in a little bit of hot water again, I think, with these comments recently.
Former catcher and current host on SiriusXM MLB Network Radio and MLB TV, Chris Gimenez joining me, Scott Seidenberg here on VSiN PrimeTime. Chris is on the Progressive guest line. Let's take a look, Chris, at some of the teams that you might be bullish on, or maybe a team that you are not necessarily buying into their record right now. Is there one team that stands out in your mind, could be one way or the other, that you're thinking, you know what, they're better than their record, or I don't think they're as good as their record is right now?
Well, I'll give you one of each, and they both happen to come from the American League Central Division. The team I'm extremely bullish on is the Kansas City Royals. I think they've started to figure it out. They have elite starting pitching. They've got an incredible bullpen that they have some guys down there that nobody's heard of that I promise you by the end of this season, you're going to hear of them because they are nasty. And they do it from like the 5th inning all the way through the 9th inning, which makes them even deeper down there. I just think this offense is going to be what holds them back. I know they had a great day today, but if you look at that 5 through that 9 hole, that's where they're going to have to make adjustments. But I'll tell you what, that 1 through 4, it's arguably, you could throw that up with anybody in the league and they can compete. I think Bobby Witt Jr. is the MVP of the league this year. And I'm really, really bullish on the Kansas City Royals. And a team that I'm not as bullish on, that I don't think is as good, give me the Detroit Tigers. I know they have great pitching, but that offense, I think, is playing out of their mind right now. I think they come back down to earth a little bit, and we see the Tigers, bring back to the pack just a bit.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think it's certainly, Tommy Kahnle back into that bullpen has been tremendous for them. They have been getting great pitching, but also, as you mentioned, the offense has just gotten off to a torrid start. Maybe not sustainable as they progress throughout the season, although I have a lot of respect for the manager. As a Yankee fan, I might not like the banging of the trash cans, but we got to tip our caps where it's due, and A.J. Hinch is a hell of a baseball guy. Chris, great conversation. Appreciate the time. Good luck with your bets, and enjoy the games, and we'll catch up again soon.
Thanks, Scott. Take care. Good luck the rest of the way out.
There he is, Chris Gimenez. Catch him, SiriusXM, MLB Network Radio, and MLB TV. Former Major League catcher. Joined us there on the Progressive Guest Line. I'm Scott Seidenberg. You can always hit me up on Twitter at ScottsOnAir, ScottsOnair. We'll update you on what's going on in Minnesota between the Timberwolves and the Warriors, and here in Vegas between the Knights and the Oilers, coming up next, right here on Primetime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
It's been a busy third quarter for the Golden State Warriors as they went on a little bit of a run here and made it a 7-point game, but a three-pointer by the Timberwolves has extended the lead back up to 10. 68-58. The Timberwolves lead the Warriors as the T-Wolves get another basket now, 70-58. Timberwolves over the Warriors here with 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Your live line is Minnesota minus 12.5 with a live total of 199.5. So it's been a high-scoring third quarter. And you guys know me and my betting FOMO. I wish I did this third quarter to go over. But we're still waiting for our fourth quarter bet. We like the Warriors in the fourth quarter, and we'll see if this is going to play out that way. 70-58, Timberwolves lead the Warriors as the Warriors have outscored Minnesota now 19-14 in the second quarter. Also keeping an eye on the action on the ice as the Vegas Golden Knights get the first goal of the game, and so that trend now improves to 28 out of 42 for the teams that lose the previous game, score the first goal in the next game. And that goal was scored by Victor Olofsson. So the Knights with a 1-0 lead. There is 6 minutes to go in the first period. We need a goal here to cash our over 1.5 goals in the first period. But good start for VGK as they lead 1-0. Let's see, a little 2-on-1. Maybe they got a goal here. Nope. Was that a save? Wow. That was a 3-on-1. That should have been a goal. Great opportunity there. But Vegas scored. They actually had a 2-man advantage when they scored their goal. So they were on the power play, and then another penalty was taken by the Oilers. So a 5-on-3 advantage led to the Victor Olofsson goal and the assists to Mark Stone and Jack Eichel as the Knights. Oh, what an opportunity. Make that one extra pass. Almost had a great opportunity to score the second goal of the game. But it is still a 1-0 lead. Meanwhile, my Blue Jays bet is absolutely toast as the Angels have a 4-0 lead over Toronto in the second inning. Chris Bassett is having a terrible start. 4 runs allowed on 5 hits, 2 home runs allowed. Chris Bassett came into this game, and prior to, if you look at his last couple of starts, he had allowed 0 home runs through his first 5 starts of the season, he allows 2 home runs to the Yankees. It's okay. You're at Yankee Stadium, short porch. I understand that. And then he allowed 2 home runs to Cleveland in his last game, and he's allowed 2 home runs already in the first 2 innings of this game here for the Blue Jays in Anaheim against the Angels. And it just goes to show you, I mean, Bassett has been a pitcher that is much more comfortable at home this year, 2-0 with a 2.2 ERA, on the road 0-2 with a 3.47 ERA, and the Blue Jays, who were 2 outs away from winning a ball game last night, they get walked off, and the momentum has just carried over into the next day. You know, the old saying in baseball was, or the old saying, the current saying, the still saying in baseball, is that momentum is only as good as your next day's starting pitcher. And so that was what we looked at here, is we said, you know what? Momentum's only as good as your next day's starting pitcher. Well, Chris Bassett this year is a guy who was pitching to a 2.95 ERA and a 2.91 FIP. So he's been pretty good this year. Meanwhile, for Soriano, who is on the mound for the Angels, this year he has pitched to a 4.08 ERA, and it's not like he's getting unlucky. He's pitched to a 3.95 FIP. So if you just looked at it and you were like, you know what, hey, you're right, momentum's only as good, excuse me, as your next day's starting pitcher. Well, the next day's starting pitcher matchup was clearly an advantage for the Toronto Blue Jays, but not the case right now, as it is a 4-0 lead for the Angels going to the top of the 3rd inning there in Anaheim. It's a final as the Phillies complete the comeback, and they win in 10 innings, 7-6 over the Rays. They were down 5-1 in this game and came all the way back to tied in the top of the 9th inning after a Max Kepler RBI ground out. Tied the game in the 9th inning. They scored a 3-run home run by Bryson Stott in the top of the 8th to pull them within 5-4. They score in the top of the 9th, and then 2 runs in the top of the 10th as they win 7-6. We are in the bottom of the 11th in Atlanta, and the Braves and Reds are still tied at 4. So looking for a winner there in Atlanta, as they will have the ghost runner on there in the bottom of the 11th inning. And no score between the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks early on. Brandon Pfaadt pitching for Arizona and Yoshinobu Yamamoto on the mound for the Dodgers. They're in the bottom of the 3rd inning, so Yamamoto has gone through 2 clean innings here. He has allowed 2 hits and 3 hits, and 1 strikeout now. Pfaadt, I should say, has gone through 3 clean innings. 3 innings, just 2 hits allowed for Pfaadt, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. But a single just now for the Diamondbacks as they have a runner on first with nobody out here. Bottom of the 3rd inning, no score between the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. All right, let's check back in at what's going on in the hockey game as the clock is ticking, and we need a goal to be scored here. 4 minutes and 52 seconds left to go in the first period. The Knights with a 1-0 lead over the Oilers. We love what we're seeing out of the Knights here with the 1-0 lead, but with the over 1.5, we certainly need another goal to be scored here in this first period. Every game of the playoffs so far for the Vegas Golden Knights has had an over 1.5 hit in the first period. I'm not saying that that's the reason why it's automatically going to hit, but they have allowed they've scored in the first period, and they've allowed a lot of first period goals. So it was 1-1 in their game against Minnesota in game 1. It was 3-0 Minnesota in game number 2. Game number 3, it was 2-1 to Minnesota. Game number 4, it was 1-1. Game number 5, it was 2-1 VGK. And in game number 6, it was 1-1. So every game in that series over 1.5. And then in the game 1 against the Oilers, they had a 2-1 lead. So every game for the Knights so far here in this playoffs has gotten over 1.5 goals in the first period. We got 4 minutes to get another goal here. Meanwhile, 2 minutes left in the third quarter as we are waiting for this third quarter to come to a close, where we will then place a bet on the fourth quarter, and that fourth quarter bet will be on the Golden State Warriors. Right now, the Timberwolves lead 76-58 over the Warriors with under 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. Your live line is the Timberwolves minus 17.5. Your live total is 191.5. And just going through the numbers, as it's now 76-60. Going through the numbers, the reason why we love the fourth quarter here is, as much as we talked about how dominant these home favorites coming off the loss have been in the first quarter of the games and throughout the first half. Really, the first quarter was the reason why they've been dominant in the first half, is because they jump out to these huge leads in the first quarter. Well, in all 5 games of this playoffs, where the road dog has won a game and then is a road dog again, right? We've seen it 5 times. The road dog winning game 1, and in game 2, those road dogs start off incredibly slow. They're averaging 16 points per first quarter. And that's a reason why we laid the 4 points for Minnesota in the first quarter. We laid the 7 points for Minnesota in the first half. But the common theme also with all of these teams, all 5 of these games, is that in the fourth quarter, those road dogs are all winning. All 5 of these games, the road dog has won the fourth quarter. And so we are playing the Warriors to win the fourth quarter. So if it's -0.5 on the spread, we'll probably play that. We might or just go with maybe the -130 on the money line if that's what it's going to be, and we'll give ourselves a little push protection just in case it winds up being a tied fourth quarter. But we got a minute left in the third quarter. We're going to wait to see what the official posted line is on that fourth quarter, and we'll shop around and try and find the best price. I know DraftKings has a lineup right now. It is -110 for the Warriors in the fourth quarter. If you want to bet that right now, it is available right now on DraftKings. That is a recommendation I would make. I'm going to wait till the quarter's over and then place the bet, as it's going to open up in a lot of books here in Vegas. But if you want to play it right now, you can get -110 on the Golden State Warriors to win the fourth quarter. It is 80-63 with under a minute to go in the third quarter. Timberwolves are winning by 17 right now. This is going to be a case where the backups are going to come in. They're going to dribble out the possessions. I don't expect Anthony Edwards to be in the game, with a 20-point lead, whatever it is. They're going to play out the strings here. Warriors probably lose this game, by 16, 15 points, maybe 18, whatever it is. But I would go Warriors to win the fourth quarter would be a play that we're about 15 seconds or so away from making. Still only 1-0 Knights with about a minute left in the first period, sweating it out here in Vegas. I'm Scott Seidenberg, always on Twitter @ScottsOnAir. This is VSiN Primetime, right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Scott Seidenberg back here with you. This is VSiN Primetime as we have played the Golden State Warriors in the fourth quarter. That is a bet that we have recommended. We are playing it, and let's see if it plays out for us. Real quick, if you want the data that we talked about earlier, and I'm just going to get to it real quick because this fourth quarter is about to start. Get your bet in right now. You look at the situations that if we go back to the start of the 2021 playoffs, road dog wins game 1. Road dog in game 2 starts out terrible. They lose the first quarter. They're getting dominated in the first half, but they are outscoring the home team in the fourth quarter. In this postseason, we have had 5 games already. The road teams, those road dogs, averaging just 16 points in the first quarter. My goodness. And the Warriors scored, 15 in this first quarter? So that was a great cash for us. They lose the first half by double digits, another great cash. But in all 5 instances, that road dog has won the fourth quarter. So play the Warriors on the fourth quarter. Go ahead and let's see how this game does in fact play out. We have the Warriors in the fourth quarter. We are into the first intermission here in Vegas. The Golden Knights with a 1-0 lead over the Edmonton Oilers. VGK on the live money line is -270. Your live total is 5.5, juiced to the under. This is a game that closed with a 6.5 total. And if I were to make a wager on the second period, I'd probably go over, as I did like the over in the first period, and it didn't happen. But Happy that Vegas does have the lead. Let's look inside this game from an analytical perspective and see what did we witness here in the first period. Well, a very even game. That's what we've witnessed. An extremely even game. If we look at the all shot attempts, so not just the shots that have gotten through, not just the shots on goal, which we can look at the shots on goal. Both teams even. 6 and 6 shots on goal. But let's look inside the advanced numbers here. So both teams, 17 attempts. 17 attempts, and both teams have only gotten 6 through to the net. In fact, both teams have only gotten 10 through. So both teams, 17 attempts. Both teams, 7 blocks. Both teams, 6 made it through to the net. The difference in the game, the Golden Knights have had 2 high danger scoring chances, and the Oilers have actually had 4 high danger scoring chances. But yet it is the Knights who lead the game 1-0 because they scored that power play goal with the 2-man advantage. Expected goal numbers, dead. It's exactly even pretty much. Well, not exactly, but it's as even as you can get. The Knights expected 0.74 goals. The Oilers expected 0.79 goals. So this was as even of a first period as you're going to find across all of these advanced analytical numbers here. I mean, my goodness. This is as even a period as we have seen, and yet the Knights do have the lead 1-0 thanks to the power play goal. So, does it happen here? Do we see them surge in the second period? Do we see both teams score in the second period? Now, that's a different way that you could look at it here. But your total in the second period of over 1.5, massively juiced. It's minus 200 right now up on DraftKings. And a bet, let's see, I mean, different books have it, but you can look at the both teams to score. So, let's take a look inside that prop. I believe FanDuel has it if you're looking for an online book. Let's see. Second period, we want the both teams to score prop. It is at even money. I hate that. Usually you get these at like plus 150 or plus 140, but even money is no value there to me. I'd rather just look at an over 1.5. It's minus 200. I can't play it. So I don't really see a second period value play here, if we're being honest. And that's okay. We don't have to have a bet on every single period. We have Knights on the money. We have the Golden Knights money line, so we're hoping that just comes through for us. But right now we are sweating out the fourth quarter as the only game in play we have in this game. The fourth quarter between the Warriors and the Timberwolves, as right now the fourth quarter is looking like Warriors are down 7-5 in the fourth quarter. That's okay. 9 minutes to go in this fourth quarter, and we just need the Warriors to win this fourth quarter. Let's take a look at what's going on your Major League Baseball scoreboard as the Atlanta Braves have walked off, finally, took a little while, but the Braves have walked off against the Reds 5-4 your final in 11 innings. Atlanta, this was a 2-0 deficit, or Atlanta had a 1-0 lead. Then they were tied at 1-1. Atlanta goes up 2-1, then gives up the lead and goes down and ties. The game's tied at 2. In the top of the ninth inning, the Reds score 2 runs to take a 4-2 lead. Braves then tie it with 2 runs in the bottom of the ninth, but both teams don't score in the 10th. The Braves score in the bottom of the 11th to walk it off. Elsewhere in progress, the Blue Jays scratch a couple of runs across in the top of the third to put themselves back in contention in this game with the Angels. 4-2. The Angels lead the Blue Jays 2 outs in the bottom of the third inning. This is an important inning for Chris Bassett to see if he can pitch a shutdown inning after his team scored 2 runs and got them back in the game. The Blue Jays actually threatened to score more in the top of the third inning. So they had Guerrero reached on an infield single, and then Santander struck out. George Springer walked. Dalton Varsho with a double scored a run. Alejandro Kirk with a ground out scored another run. Then then we had Barger walk, and we had a ground out to end the inning. So after your team gives you a couple of runs here, and it's Addison Barger, by the way, is the player that I was missing up his name. After your team scores you a couple of runs, it's called a shutdown inning. Can you go out there the next half an inning and put up a 0 and get your team back up again? That's how you keep the momentum going in Major League Baseball, or just, in pretty much any baseball game. Those are the most important innings for a pitcher, is those shutdown innings. And I would actually love to see somebody track those stats. I mean, we track everything in Major League Baseball, so we know how guys do in the first inning. We know how they do the first time through the lineup. We know how they do in the day, at night, on certain mounds, whatever. I'd love to see somebody track the shutdown innings, because I think that's a stat that it's kind of like a hold, And I want to see how these teams do, in fact, have, or how these pitchers do in shutdown innings, because I think that's a good measure of how good a pitcher has been over the course of the season, is when your team provides runs for you, can you then go out there and limit the opposition and give your team an opportunity to be successful? So curious to see that, and we'll see if Bassett gets out of this bottom of the third clean and get the Blue Jays back up there in the top of the fourth inning. Still no score in Arizona between the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. A little bit of a surprise here, just because of how well the Dodgers players have historically hit Brandon Pfaadt, the starting pitcher for the Diamondbacks. If you look at the numbers, there's a ton of players on the Dodgers that have had a boatload of success against Brandon Pfaadt. Mookie Betts has had tremendous success against him. Michael Conforto, Freddie Freeman. You go down the list. Ohtani's even done decent against him. Only 6 at-bats, but Ohtani's done decently against him. Will Smith has a .375 batting average against him. So you look up and down this Dodgers lineup, and they've all hit Brandon Pfaadt pretty well. Right now, Ohtani 0 for 2, Mookie Betts 1 for 2, Freeman 0 for 1 with a walk, Will Smith 1 for 1 with a walk, and then Conforto 0 for 2, and the rest of the lineup really hasn't done much. So the guys that have had success at the top of the lineup, they've done the job. As I mentioned, Betts has got a hit and Will Smith has got a hit, but no one else has done anything here for the Dodgers. We're in the bottom of the fourth inning. Arizona's got the leadoff runner on first with nobody out. Yamamoto has allowed so far 3 hits, 1 walk, and 1 strikeout. And for Pfaadt, 2 hits, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. Nobody has scored a run yet here in this game. Due up in the top of the 5th inning for the Dodgers, it was Conforto made the last out. So up for the Dodgers is going to be, let's see, it'll be Hyesung Kim, not Ha-Sung Kim, the other Kim, the one that just got called up. So Kim Kim, Outman, and Ohtani in the top of the 5th inning for the Dodgers. Meanwhile, Arizona has just put another runner on, first and second with nobody out. So your first 5 innings bets coming down to the wire here. 0-0, bottom of the 4th inning. 2 on, nobody out for the Arizona Diamondbacks. I'm Scott Seidenberg. Coming up next, we'll get you back into the action in Minnesota. Tell you about what's going on in that 4th quarter as you sweat out our Golden State Warriors 4th quarter bet. And we'll dive a little bit further to see if, in fact, we want to make a live play on the VGK Edmonton Oilers game. This is VSiN PrimeTime right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Scott Seidenberg back here with you. This is VSiN PrimeTime as we track the remaining 5 and change left here in the 4th quarter. The Timberwolves leading the Warriors 99-82, 5:43 to go here in the game, 99-82. And for those tracking the 4th quarter bet that we placed, hopefully you're tailing with us as we look to make it a successful show here, continuing to cash these bets on these games. We placed the bet on the Warriors money line in the 4th quarter and the Warriors holding on to a 17-14 fourth quarter lead. Again, 5:43 to go in fourth quarter. The puck is about to drop here in Vegas. Second period action between the Golden Knights and the Oilers. We didn't play any extra bets on the second period. We're just riding out our Knights money line. We took our loss with the first period over 1.5. We took our loss there, but we still have the Knights on the money line that we're just going to ride out here. Maybe place a live bet at some point, looking at a live total. I did lean towards the over in the second period, so I do think that we get goals in this game, but it was too heavily juiced. It was minus 200, and I'm not going to lay that here. So let's just see how this second period plays out. Who knows? Maybe the Knights shut them out. Certainly Vegas has looked good early on here, but this is as even of a game as you're going to find. We dove inside the analytical numbers for this game in the first period, and it is as even of a game as you will ever see, or as even of a period, I should say, as you will ever see. Every number was almost identical. The Corsi attempts for, the Fenwick attempts, the possession numbers. The only difference in the game, and even the expected goals, the only difference in the game was that the Knights have a 1-0 lead, but actually the Oilers have had more high-danger scoring chances. So we'll see how it plays out here in this second period. Meanwhile, in Major League Baseball, the Diamondbacks loaded the bases with nobody out against Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and Yamamoto allows a grand slam as the Diamondbacks take a 4-0 lead, bottom of the fourth inning. Now Yamamoto has gotten through that bottom of the fourth. So going to the top of the fifth, Diamondbacks lead 4-0. Yamamoto this season had not given up a home run since Friday, March 28th against Detroit, when he allowed 2 homers. He had gone 5 consecutive starts without allowing a home run, and forget about not allowing a home run. He had gone 5 consecutive starts with only allowing 1 earned run, and he just allowed 4 in the bottom of the fourth inning. It was a leadoff walk it was a leadoff walk followed by an infield single. Now, I didn't watch it, so I don't know how that played out. Was it a bunt? Was it a swinging bunt? I don't know. I'm not watching the game. Then Eugenio Suarez gets hit by a pitch, and Gabriel Moreno on the third pitch, a 2-0 count, dead red cutter right down the middle, 91 miles per hour, grand slam to right center field, 377 feet. And then Yamamoto strikes out Gurriel, Thomas, and gets Perdomo to ground out as we head to the top of the fifth inning with the Diamondbacks leading the Dodgers 4-0. Now, if you're interested in getting in on this game live, let's take a look at where we're at. I mentioned that the Dodgers do have incredible numbers against Brandon Pfaadt. I can tell you that I don't think the Dodgers are getting shut out in this game. The total right now is at 8.5. We are in the top of the fifth inning. If there was a play to be made, if I'm being honest, yeah, you can get the Dodgers at plus 420, plus 450 to come back and win. I'd rather play the over 8.5 because literally it's a 4-0 game. If the Dodgers come back to win, the over has to hit, right? 5 runs for the Dodgers, 5 plus 4 equals 9. So if the Dodgers come back and win, the over automatically hits. But I'm going to give myself the cushion here that maybe Yamamoto's out of the game in the next inning or so, and maybe the Diamondbacks put some more offense up on the board. If the Diamondbacks score some runs, then the Dodgers respond with some offense as well. This could wind up being an over game. So over 8.5 at minus 115 right now is what we're looking at up on DraftKings. I'm actually very intrigued by that. Surprised that it's that low. Usually when, a team is up 4-0 like that, maybe the total would be a little bit higher, but okay. I would play that. I would go in on a live over as the Dodgers are about to, send their guys to the third time through the lineup for Brandon Pfaadt. Yamamoto's at 72 pitches. He's only going to go one more inning, so maybe he pitches the bottom of the fifth, and that's it. And then you get the 6th, 7th, and 8th for the Diamondbacks against the Dodgers bullpen. and we'll see Brandon Fodd's at 64 pitches, see how long it takes him to get out of this fifth inning. But the only play I would recommend in that game right now would be an over 8.5. But Diamondbacks with a 4-0 lead over the Dodgers. You can put a sprinkle on the Dodgers to come back and win. Why not? I mean, they are the Dodgers, right? They are the Dodgers. Elsewhere, the Angels, a 4-2 lead over the Blue Jays, bottom of the fourth inning with one out there in Anaheim. All right, there is an Edmonton power play right now. And so this game tightening up a bit here. 3 minutes into the second period, the Oilers head to the power play, down 1-0, and we'll see if the Knights can hold on to this lead and kill off this power play, or if Edmonton evens up the game. Taking a look at your live markets right now, your live total is 5.5. The over is plus 120. The under minus 154. VGK on the live money line minus 230. Oilers on the live money line plus 175. The Knights did close as about a minus 140 favorite or so. Let's see what they closed at here in this game, because I was surprised it wasn't higher, to be honest with you. Vegas closed at minus 134. So opened up at minus 120, got bet up a little bit, but not as much as I thought it would. Certainly not as much as the Carolina Hurricanes were bet up against the Washington Capitals, where they were minus 130 to open up, and then the Capitals closed at minus 165. That was just, what a disrespectful line. You want to talk about a disrespectful line? That was a disrespectful line right there. 4 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. The Timberwolves with a 21-20 lead over the Warriors here in the fourth quarter. They lead 106-85, so we are sweating out this fourth quarter. Final 4 minutes. All we need is the Warriors to just win this fourth quarter, and I guess it'll be a clean 3-0 sweep for that game, because we had the first quarter Timberwolves spread, first half Timberwolves spread, and fourth quarter Warriors on the money line. So let's get this 3-0 sweep here on this NBA playoff game. Timberwolves leading 106-85 with 4:03 remaining in the fourth quarter. All right, closing seconds of this power play here. The Oilers still have possession in the offensive zone, so the Knights looking to kill off the remaining seconds here of the power play. And I'm always curious to see what happens right after the power play ends, to see if the team that kills off the penalty does get some momentum. And here we go. Knights get a player out of the box. They are on the rush. And, saved by Calvin Pickard. Well, we had a chance there. Exactly what I thought could happen at the end of the power play. Once you get that player out of the box, you get a little momentum. Maybe you get an odd man rush. They did have a 3-on-2, but a good save by Calvin Pickard keeps the game at 1-0. Want to remind you guys, coming up next after VSiN Primetime, it's Cashing Out with Joe Serralo, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. He's going to be joined by our very own Greg Peterson to break down the full Major League Baseball slate. Get you ready for all the games coming up tomorrow in Major League Baseball with Greg's analysis and betting angles. Tomorrow morning, wake up with VSiN By the Books with former Major League pitcher Jensen Lewis and Keith Irizarry at 7 a.m. Eastern Time, followed by a numbers game with Gil Alexander at 10 a.m. Eastern. It's all coming up next here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. I'm Scott Seidenberg. Hit me up on Twitter at ScottsOnAir, ScottsOnair, as we have 3 minutes and 10 seconds left to go in the game. Warriors are down 2 in the fourth quarter. So, we're still alive. 109-87 Timberwolves win. We know the Timberwolves are going to win. We know the Timberwolves are going to cover. We know the Timberwolves are going to even up the series at 1 game apiece. This trend was just too good to pass up on the Wolves in the first quarter and the Wolves in the first half. But we're looking to cash this Warriors fourth quarter right now, as the backups for sure are in the game in the final 3 minutes. Let's get some Dubs baskets here. Lose the game by 15 or so. That's fine. I mean, I don't need them to win. I don't need them to even make it close. But let's just get themselves within range here, down 2 points here in the fourth quarter, as both teams will look to play out the strings here. And let's see if the Knights can continue to hold on to this lead, hopefully extend the lead, and not get complacent, because the loss the other night was the first time in the Knights' playoff history that they blew a 2-goal lead in the playoffs. So 2-goal lead, even if they get it tonight, they're up 1-0. Should they get a 2-goal lead, it's not safe. keep applying the pressure, and let's even up the series at a game apiece going back to Edmonton. Once again, Joe Serralo and Cashing Out comes your way next. I'm Scott Seidenberg. This was Primetime right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.